My stepkids were sprawled on my couch when they said, "Don't act like you decide anything." So I unplugged the TV they camped on, took the batteries from every remote, and left them staring at their own reflections. "You're not my real dad anyway." That's what my 16-year-old stepdaughter said to me in my own kitchen, arms crossed, attitude cranked to maximum, after I asked her to unload the dishwasher she'd promised to handle 2 days ago. So I walked over to the breaker box, flipped the switch that controlled every outlet in her room, and watched her face drop when she realized her phone was about to die with no way to charge it. That was just the beginning. I wasn't punishing disrespect. I was about to teach 3 very entitled people exactly what it costs to ignore the man who actually keeps the lights on. My name is Marcus. I'm 43, and I'm a commercial electrician who specializes in high-rise buildings and industrial facilities, which is a technical way of saying I know exactly how power flows, where it comes from, and how to cut it off when necessary. Turns out, that skill translates pretty well to dealing with people who think electricity, Wi-Fi, and hot water just magically appear because they exist. I observe, I diagnose, I find the source of the problem. And when someone is draining too much power in my life without contributing anything back, I don't argue. I flip the switch until they either learn or find somewhere else to plug in. I married into this chaos 4 years ago. My wife, Dana, is 39, works in pharmaceutical sales, and has 2 kids from her first marriage, Ashley, 16, and Connor, 14. Their dad lives 2 states away and likes to play the cool dad role, which basically means he sends them money for birthdays, never enforces a single rule, and then complains to Dana that she's too strict whenever she tries to parent. He's got them every other holiday and 2 weeks in summer. The rest of the time, they're with us. Well, with me, really, since Dana travels 3 days a week for work. When Dana and I got married and moved into my house, the place I bought 5 years before I even met her, I thought we were building something solid. I converted the garage into a game room, built custom shelves in both kids' bedrooms, upgraded the whole electrical panel so we could run multiple gaming setups, a home theater, and never trip a breaker. Every bonus I got, something in this house got better for them. And somewhere between the upgraded internet package and the 4th streaming service, I went from mom's new husband to that guy who pays for stuff but doesn't get an opinion. It started small. Wet towels on the bathroom floor, lights left on in every room, dishes stacked in the sink until they developed ecosystems. Then it got worse. Sarcastic comments when I asked them to take out the trash, heavy sighs if I suggested they put their phones away at dinner, little muttered phrases like, "You're not my real dad," whenever they thought I wasn't listening close enough. I didn't lose it. I did what I always do on a job site. I assessed the situation. I tracked the patterns. I identified where the system was failing and why. But the kitchen moment, that's when I knew something had to change. It was a Thursday night. I'd just gotten home from a 14-hour shift on a retrofit project downtown. I was covered in dust, my back hurt, and all I wanted was to grab some leftovers, take a hot shower, and maybe watch half a game before passing out. I walked through the door and immediately smelled something burning. The kitchen was a disaster. Someone had made quesadillas, or tried to, and there were cheese burns on my glass cooktop, tortilla scraps on the counter, and every single pan I owned piled in the sink. The dishwasher was empty. Ashley was at the kitchen table on her phone, earbuds in. Connor was in the game room with the volume cranked so loud I could hear gunfire from the front door. Dana wasn't home. She was in Atlanta for a conference until Saturday. "Hey, Ash," I said, setting my work bag down carefully because I could feel my patience already threadbare. "Whose turn was it to clean up after cooking tonight?" She didn't look up, just kept scrolling. "Ashley," I said louder, "I'm talking to you." She pulled one earbud out with the most theatrical sigh I'd ever witnessed. "What?" "The kitchen," I said, gesturing. "We talked about this. If you cook, you clean. I'm not walking into this after working all day." She glanced at the mess like she was seeing it for the first time, then shrugged. "I was going to do it later." "Later was 2 hours ago when you finished eating," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "Do it now, please." "God, why are you so pressed about dishes?" she said, rolling her eyes. "It's not that deep." "Because I live here and I don't want to come home to a trashed kitchen every night," I replied. "That's a pretty reasonable expectation." She stood up, phone still in hand, and looked at me with this expression of pure condescension that I swear she learned from TikTok. "You know what?" she said. "You're not my real dad anyway. You don't get to tell me what to do like you own me." The room went very, very quiet. Even the gunfire sounds from the game room seemed to pause. "Excuse me?" I said. "You heard me," she said, chin up, defiant. "My actual dad doesn't make me do chores every 5 seconds. Mom married you. I didn't. You're just some guy she brought home who thinks he's in charge now." I looked around the kitchen, at the custom backsplash I'd installed by hand, the pendant lights I'd wired myself, the smart appliances I'd bought when the old ones died, the refrigerator currently humming along, full of food I'd paid for, the electrical panel in the garage that I'd personally upgraded so this entire house could run smoothly without a single blackout. "Just some guy," I repeated slowly. "Yeah," she said. "So stop acting like you're my dad. You're not." Something in me went cold, not angry, cold, methodical, like when you're tracing a fault in a circuit and you finally find the break. I walked past her, opened the drawer where we kept instruction manuals and warranties, and pulled out the binder I'd put together when we moved in. I flipped to the section labeled Breaker Panel Directory that I'd color-coded and laminated like the nerd I am. "What are you doing?" Ashley asked, suddenly sounding less sure. I didn't answer. I walked straight to the garage, opened the panel door, and found the breaker labeled Ashley's Room, Outlets. I flipped it off. Then I found Game Room, Entertainment Center, off. Then Living Room, TV and Media Console, off. The house went noticeably quieter. I heard Connor yell, "What the hell?" from the game room. I walked back into the kitchen. Ashley was staring at me like I'd just set something on fire. "What did you just do?" she demanded. "I stopped acting like your dad," I said calmly. "You're right. I'm not your father. I'm just some guy your mom married. And this guy just decided that the electricity he pays for doesn't need to power devices for people who don't respect him. You want lights and outlets? Earn them back." "You can't do that," she shouted. "Mom's going to freak out." "Call her," I said. "Let her know exactly what you said to me and exactly what I did about it. I'll wait." Connor came storming into the kitchen. "Dude, what's your problem?" I was in the middle of a ranked match. "Your problem," I said, turning to face him, "is that your sister just informed me I'm not your dad and don't get to expect basic decency in my own house. So I've adjusted my expectations. I'm no longer acting like a dad. I'm acting like a landlord. And right now, rent's not paid." "That's insane," Connor said, but his voice cracked a little. "What's insane," I replied, "is coming home after 14 hours of physical labor to a destroyed kitchen and getting told I'm just some guy who doesn't matter. What's insane is paying for every single thing in this house and being treated like I'm invisible unless you need something. So here's how this works now. You want electricity? Hot water? Internet? Respect the person who provides it. Otherwise, you get to experience what it's like when that person stops caring." Ashley's face went red. "You're being abusive. This is like financial abuse or something." I actually laughed. "No, sweetheart. Financial abuse is when someone controls your money. This is me controlling my money, and my house, and my electrical grid. You are welcome to use all of it when you remember how to be a decent human being." Connor looked between us, panicking. "So what, we just sit in the dark?" "You have lights," I said. "Overhead lights work fine. I only killed the outlets and entertainment systems. You won't die. You'll just be bored. Maybe bored enough to think about whether telling me I don't matter was worth losing the Xbox." I walked past both of them, grabbed a cold cut from the fridge, and headed upstairs to take my shower. Behind me, I heard Ashley frantically calling Dana. I heard Connor cursing under his breath. I heard them finally start arguing about who should clean the kitchen. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I felt bad, I didn't, but because my brain kicked into project mode. This wasn't just about one disrespectful comment. This was years of boundary erosion, of me being treated like a walking ATM, of Dana being too guilty about the divorce to enforce consequences, and of those kids learning that words didn't matter because comfort was guaranteed. Well, comfort was about to become conditional. At midnight, I was sitting at my desk with a laptop, a legal pad, and 4 years of financial records. I started making a list. A very specific, very detailed list. Mortgage payment, me. Property tax, me. Homeowner's insurance, me. Every single utility bill, electric, water, gas, trash, recycling, me. Internet and cable package, me. All 3 streaming services, me. Groceries for a family of 4, mostly me, some Dana. Cell phone family plan with 4 lines, me. Car insurance for the used Civic that Ashley drives, me. Gas money for said Civic, me. Connor's basketball league fees, me. Ashley's violin lessons she quit after 3 months, me. Dana contributed. I'm not saying she didn't, but her income mostly covered her car payment, her work expenses, and her credit card bills from before we got married. She sent child support to her ex? No. He was supposed to send it to her, but it came sporadically and was usually late. My income kept this house running, every single day, without fail. By 2 in the morning, I had a spreadsheet that would make an accountant weep. I had receipts, I had bank statements. I had proof that just some guy was the only reason this household functioned. And I had a plan. Dana got home Saturday afternoon, wheeling her suitcase through the door with that tired but cheerful face she always has after work trips. She made it about 6 steps before Ashley ambushed her. Mom, Marcus is being crazy. He turned off the power in my room and won't let us watch TV, and Connor hasn't been able to play his game in 2 days, and he's being completely unreasonable. Whoa, Dana said, holding up a hand. She looked at me. I was standing in the kitchen doorway with a cup of coffee. What's going on? Come into the office, I said. I'd like to show you something. She followed me, looking wary. I'd already pulled up the spreadsheet on my desktop monitor, a beautiful, color-coded masterpiece of financial reality. Before anyone tells you I'm being unreasonable, I said, I need you to see this. These are our household expenses for the last year. Blue is your contributions. Green is mine. Her eyes scanned the screen. I watched her face change as the numbers stacked up. My column was a forest of green. Marcus, I knew you were covering more, but I didn't realize it was this much, she said quietly. I know, I said, and I'm not throwing it in your face. You work hard. You contribute what you can. But I need you to understand what your daughter said to me Thursday night when I asked her to clean up the mess she made. Her jaw tightened. What did she say? She said I'm not her real dad, that I'm just some guy you brought home who thinks he's in charge, that I don't get to tell her what to do, I said evenly. In my house. That my name is on. That my paycheck keeps running. While standing in a kitchen, I remodeled with my own hands. Dana closed her eyes. Oh, God. I didn't yell at her, I said. I didn't insult her. I shut off the power to her room and the entertainment systems because I decided that if I'm just some guy, then I don't need to act like a father. I can act like a landlord, and tenants who disrespect their landlord get fewer privileges. That's harsh, she said, but she sounded uncertain. Is it? I asked. Because if she said that to an actual landlord, she'd be evicted. If she said that to a boss, she'd be fired. I'm giving her a consequence that teaches her actions matter without putting her on the street. That seems pretty generous to me. Dana sat down heavily in my desk chair. What do you want me to do? I want you to stop being in the middle, I said. I love you. But you have been so afraid of being the mean mom after the divorce that you've let your kids treat me like I'm optional, like I'm a placeholder. I need you to decide if you're okay with that, or if you're going to stand with me when I set boundaries. She looked up at me, eyes wet. You know I love you. You know I appreciate everything you do. Then show them that, I said, because right now they think you'll always pick them over me, and maybe you will. But I need to know that before I keep building a life where I'm funding my own disrespect. She took a shaky breath, nodded, and asked me to call a family meeting. We sat in the living room. No TV, no background noise, just 4 people and a lot of tension. Ashley sat on one end of the couch, arms crossed, radiating attitude. Connor perched on the armchair looking like he wanted to disappear. Dana sat next to me on the love seat, and I could feel her hand shaking slightly when she took mine. Okay, Dana started. I heard about what happened Thursday, and... He's overreacting, Ashley cut in. I barely said anything, and he had a total meltdown. I tilted my head. You barely said anything? Want me to repeat it word for word? Her face flushed. It wasn't that bad. You told me I'm not your real dad, that I'm just some guy, and that I don't get to expect anything from you, I said clearly. In the house I own, that I pay for, after I asked you to clean a mess you made. Which part of that is me overreacting? Silence. Dana squeezed my hand. Ashley, Connor, I need you to listen, and I need you to actually hear this. Marcus is not just some guy. He's my husband. He's your stepfather. And he has been more present, more supportive, and more financially responsible for you two than your biological father has been in years. Ashley's eyes went wide. Mom! No, Dana said, and her voice was firmer than I'd heard it in months. I'm not throwing your dad under the bus. I'm stating facts. Marcus pays for this house. He pays most of the bills. He pays for your phone, Ashley. He pays for your car insurance. He paid for that game room setup you're mad you can't use, Connor. He has been good to you, and you have been taking him for granted. Connor looked down at his hands. Ashley's chin trembled, but she stayed defiant. This isn't about punishing you for being kids, I said. It's about aligning reality with behavior. Right now, you live like adults: privacy, freedom, devices, transportation, entertainment. But you act like children when it comes to responsibility and respect. So we're rebalancing. I handed each of them a printed sheet. It was simple, clean, titled Household Contribution Expectations. Ashley read it, and her face went from defensive to shocked. What is this? A contract? It's a reality check, I said. You want to use the outlets in your room? Lights stay off when you're not in them for 1 week. You want internet access, respectful language, and 1 completed chore per day for 3 days. You want the car? Gas tank doesn't come back empty, and you help with grocery runs when asked. You want streaming services and gaming? We see consistent effort, not perfection. Effort. This is ridiculous, Ashley said, but her voice wavered. This is life, I replied. Out there beyond this house, nobody gives you anything just because you exist. You work, you contribute, you get access to things. I'm teaching you that now in the safest place you'll ever learn it, here, with me, where failure just means boredom, not homelessness. Connor spoke up for the first time. So if we do this stuff, we get everything back? You earn it back, I corrected, and then you keep it by continuing to meet expectations. The same way I keep my job by showing up and doing good work. Dana nodded. And I'm backing him on this, completely. If you have a problem with it, we can call your father and see if he wants to take you full time. But if you stay here, these are the terms. That landed. Both kids looked at each other, some silent sibling communication passing between them. What about our phones? Ashley asked quietly. Your phones stay on for now, I said, because safety matters. But if the disrespect continues, I'll port your lines to your dad's account and he can decide if he wants to pay for them. He won't, Connor muttered. Exactly, I said. So maybe remember that the guy who's not your real dad is the one making sure you stay connected. They didn't storm out this time. They just sat there, deflated, staring at the papers in their hands like they were written in a foreign language. The first week was brutal. They tested every boundary, left lights on out of spite, refused to do chores, tried to guilt Dana into overriding me. Her ex called and yelled about toxic masculinity and control issues until Dana hung up on him. I didn't budge. Outlets stayed off. Internet stayed locked. The car keys stayed on my hook. On day 5, something shifted. I came home from work to find the kitchen clean. Not just clean, actually clean. Counters wiped down. Dishes done and put away. Floor swept. Connor was sitting at the table doing homework. Hey, I said carefully. Kitchen looks good. He didn't look up. Ashley did it. She's trying to get her outlets back. And you? I asked. He shrugged. I'm trying to get internet. I have a project due and the library closed early. I pulled out my phone, logged into the router app, and turned his device back on. You've done your chores the last 3 days without attitude. You earned it. He looked up, surprised. Really? Really, I said. That's how it works. You meet the expectations, you get the access. I'm not trying to torture you. I'm trying to teach you. That night, Ashley came to me while I was watching a game. She stood in the doorway, awkward and small in a way I hadn't seen her look in years. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Sure," I said, muting the TV. She sat on the edge of the couch. "I'm sorry for what I said. The not my real dad thing. That was messed up." I waited. "I didn't mean it," she continued. "I was just mad. And I didn't think about how much you actually do. Mom showed me the spreadsheet." "Did she?" I said. Not quite a question. "Yeah, and I didn't know. I thought, I don't know. I thought you and Mom just split everything. I didn't know you paid for most of it." She twisted her hands together. "And I didn't know my dad barely helps." "Your dad loves you," I said. "He's just not great at follow-through." "Yeah," she said quietly. "I'm starting to notice that." We sat in silence for a moment. "I cleaned the kitchen," she said. "And I've been keeping my lights off. Can I have my outlets back?" "You've done 3 days of solid effort," I said. "Yeah, you can have them back. But Ashley, this isn't a one-time thing. This is how we operate now. Mutual respect. Mutual effort. You pull your weight, I'll keep providing what I provide. Deal?" She nodded. "Deal." I grabbed the remote, the one I'd hidden batteries in for the last week, and handed it to her. "You can pick what we watch, except reality TV. I have standards." She actually laughed. A real laugh. The weeks that followed weren't perfect. There were still slip-ups, still moments of attitude. But something fundamental had changed. They started saying thank you when I bought groceries. They asked if I needed help when I was working on house projects. Connor started mowing the lawn without being asked. Dana and I started feeling like actual partners instead of her babysitting my resentment while I funded her guilt. The real turning point came 3 months later. Ashley got a job at a coffee shop, not because I forced her, but because she wanted her own money for things that weren't in the budget. She worked 2 shifts a week, and after her first paycheck, she came home looking shell-shocked. "I worked 12 hours and this is all I got after taxes," she said, staring at her phone. "Welcome to adulthood," Dana said, smirking. "This is insane," Ashley said. "How do you pay for everything? I can't even buy the shoes I wanted with this." I looked up from my laptop. "Now imagine that paycheck has to cover rent, food, insurance, utilities, and also everyone else's expectations. That's what being an adult is." She was quiet for a long moment. "That really sucks." "It does," I agreed. "But it also makes you appreciate the people who do it without complaining. At least, it should." She nodded slowly. Then she did something that absolutely broke me. She Venmo'd me $20 with the note for groceries. It wasn't about the money. It was about her finally understanding that contributions matter, that effort matters, that I wasn't the enemy. I was the guy keeping the ship afloat while everyone else enjoyed the cruise. 6 months after the breaker box incident, we were sitting at dinner, all 4 of us, at the same table actually talking, when Connor asked, "Hey, Marcus, can you teach me how to wire an outlet? I want to add one in my room for my new setup." I almost dropped my fork. "You want to learn electrical work?" "Yeah," he said. "You make it look easy." And I figured, I don't know. It's a useful skill. Plus, if I know how stuff works, I won't take it for granted as much. "Nah!" Dana looked at me with this expression that said she might cry. I cleared my throat. "Yeah, absolutely. We can do that this weekend." Ashley chimed in. "Can you teach me how to check the breaker box, just in case something trips when you're not here?" "Sure," I said. "It's not complicated once you know what you're looking at." That weekend, I had both of them in the garage, showing them the panel, explaining circuits and loads and how electricity moves through a house. They asked questions. Real questions. They took notes on their phones. At one point, Connor said, "This is actually kind of cool." And Ashley said, "Yeah, I didn't know you were this smart." I laughed. "I've always been this smart. You just weren't paying attention." "Fair," she admitted. That night, after the kids went to their rooms, where the outlets worked, the lights were off when not in use, and the respect was tangible, Dana wrapped her arms around me in the kitchen. "You did it," she whispered. You actually got through to them. We did it, I corrected. You backed me up when it mattered. I'm sorry it took me so long, she said. I was so scared of them hating me after the divorce that I let them treat you like you didn't matter. That wasn't fair. No, I agreed. It wasn't. But we're here now. She kissed me. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for finally standing with me. So was it revenge? Maybe at first. When I flipped those breakers, I wanted them to feel a fraction of the invisibility I'd been drowning in. I wanted them to sit in the discomfort of realizing that comfort costs something, and someone has to pay it. But revenge turned into something better. It turned into respect. It turned into Ashley Venmoing me grocery money from her first paycheck. It turned into Connor asking to learn a skill I love. It turned into a family that actually functions instead of one where I'm just the guy who pays for everything and gets nothing back. Here's what I learned. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't to keep absorbing disrespect to keep the peace. Sometimes it's to flip the switch, let people sit in the dark for a minute, and make them realize that light doesn't just appear. Someone has to wire it, pay for it, and maintain it. And if they can't respect that person, maybe they don't deserve to flip the switch. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think I went too far, or would you have done the same thing? If someone disrespected your spouse the way my stepdaughter disrespected me, would you have cut their power too or handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your stories because I know a lot of you have dealt with entitled stepkids, roommates, or family members who think the bills pay themselves. And if this story hit home, if you felt seen or got fired up at any point, smash that like button and subscribe. It helps me keep bringing you more stories like this one.